So thank you for coming to today's technology hour. What we're going to talk about today is we're going to give the technology orientation. And essentially what this is, I was having a conversation with Kelly, which is the TL over in Arlington, and she thought that this would be helpful, and I totally agreed. I've had a lot of conversations with agents just in general about all of the applications that we have out there, the apps, the search tools, search engines. We have KW Command, we have all the stuff that's coming, and it seems to be a lot of overlap, which there is. And really what these are supposed to be tools for you to, kind of help you along in your journey. And through our discussion today, what you're going to find is, like I just said, there is a lot of overlap, but then there are certain things that each tool does well. And I think the idea is for you to, play with all of them, see which ones you're most comfortable with, and use those for your business. But also understanding there are other things out there that, if you find yourself needing it for one of your clients, you can definitely have that available, and you can use it for whenever you need it. Okay. So what we're going to do is I have this chart here, and I'm just going to walk through this chart, and then you'll see that I have further information below in all the preceding charts, and it's just more information about each of these tools. And so I'm just going to talk through this. I'll probably be sending out this slide deck to you for anyone who feels like they want it. But yeah, I'll just go ahead and get started. So, and feel free to ask questions as I'm moving through these slides and talking just about, whatever you'd like to chat about. Okay, so right here, you have a collage of tools and softwares that we have available to us. Most of them are going to be, and I'll say it in air quotes, are going to be free. And what free means is that it's already included in some of the MBAR dues that you're paying for, or NAR dues, or even the office technology dues. And so there's not going to be any extra cost out of your pocket. The only thing that will most likely be extra costs out of your pocket is Real Scout, and then they have the smart charts. And we'll get into what those are and what they do if you're not familiar with those. Okay, so right here in the center of this diagram, you're going to see Bright. And the Bright MLS is our MLS for this area. And if you're a part of, I believe that you have to be a part of NAR, and then a part of NVAR, and this is the MLS that they use for this area. Also, if you're a part of GCAR or any of the Maryland associations, then in this area, then this is what they use. Okay. And so the reason why it's in the center, because this is the source of all information as it relates to real estate listings, and it's a center for us. So every single time we put in a listing, or anyone that's a realtor that puts a listing on the market, it goes to Bright. And so then it feeds information to all of these other sources about the house. And sometimes the way that works is that it's an automatic, you put in, let's say you put in an address and there's an autofill in something. Well, it's pulling that information from the MLS that you're tied to. Okay. And so that's why this is the center. And this is a tool that you really can't get around. I know for me and in my business, typically what I do, I'll have like a client management system, something that, we'll talk about Real Scout, but I use Real Scout to kind of send properties to my clients. And you can totally do it with Bright MLS as well. It's just that the history before we had Bright, we had the MRIS, and that was not as user friendly and as pretty as Bright is at this point. But between the time of us switching over and having Bright versus MRIS, our brokerage not acquired, but we started using Real Scout. And a lot of my clients, absolutely love it. They like the feel of it, and the information is up to date, which is sometimes, the issue with clients using Zillow or using Realtor or even Redfin sometimes. Um, so yeah, the Bright system, I do use that, but I use it for my own personal business. So if I'm doing like a CMA, or I want to double check to make sure that nothing else is available in the areas, then I will go to Bright as a source just to use that on the back end for my business. And at the end of this, depending on how much time I have left, we're going to log into Bright, and we're going to see that there are a multitude of sources or systems that they have that are a part of Bright, that you can use as resources. For instance, if you have a rental and you're representing the landlord, they have a service in there that uh, allows you to do the background check and all of that good stuff. They also have resources in there for looking for foreclosures, for new construction, and so we'll log in and take a look at all of those. Okay, and so I'll just start up at the top, and I'll go clockwise. So at the top here, we have DocuSign. And I'm sure that a lot of you have either come in contact with DocuSign or .loop, because in this brokerage, those are the two major ones that people are using. And essentially what DocuSign is that it's a document signing and management platform. And so when you have documents that you need your clients to sign, and these are all legal documents, so you have all of the association documents. If you're either trying to represent them on either side, or you're trying to put in an offer, you have to pull down these documents from that the board has allowed them to have. And so essentially the way that it works is that you have to be a part of the board to get the documents. So if you're selling in Maryland, then you have to be a part of that Maryland board to receive all of the documents. Same thing in Virginia, same thing in DC. Now, if you're a part of, let's say you originally got your license in Virginia, and then you got a license in DC or in Maryland, well, you can get a secondary board license, and it doesn't cost as much. I think they're ranging somewhere between $150 to $300. But that's something that our front office is working to get together, a list of how much all of those different boards would be on a secondary basis. Okay. So that's essentially what DocuSign is. And the same thing, I said I was going to go clockwise, but since these are together, same thing with .loop. It does the exact same thing. And so, those two are kind of grouped together in document management and signing softwares. Okay, so we'll go to the right side here. So yeah, we have Remime. So Remime is definitely a part of the Bright system. And it was a tool that was created by actually an ex KW agent who had a really large team in this area. And so they had a passion for, actually, they found out that in their quest for selling a lot of homes every year, they would always have to go to different places to pull information. And this is all public information. And so they decided to launch off and create this one tool that helps you pull together a lot of information. And so upon going in there, it's a pretty cool user interface. And the way that you get access to it is through Bright. And you can probably just put it into Google as well and just start, type in the name Remime. And if you already have an account, you probably can just log in that way as well. But essentially, once you get into it, uh, you can you can actually start dissecting, different neighborhoods. And so, let's say you have a farm um, in the Old Town area, or let's say you have a farm in Arlington or Tyson's Corner area, or McLean, and or if you're looking to start a farm, either way, and you can kind of pull that up on the map, and on the left side, they'll have all of these different buttons. And so one button, you can say, they how long they've owned their house. And so there's a couple toggle switch there, and you can say, okay, anybody that's owned their house from 5 to 10 years. And then they can say, okay, how many people have, X amount of equity in their home. And so as you can imagine, as you start levying, pulling all these different levers, the number of houses come down from, let's say, 5,000 down to 20. And so what this helps you to do is understand and really focus on the people who you want to send marketing to, because maybe you're trying to get a new listing in that area, and these people may not be on the market, but they may not know or have an idea how much their house is worth, or that they could sell for a certain amount. So if you wanted to really focus your marketing on an area instead of just doing a blast, you can do it a lot more smartly and a lot more cheaply with Remind. Are there any questions there before I move on to the next thing? Okay,
Hey, Renee,
so
how do you spell Remind?
Remine.
Okay, not a D at the end.
No, no D at the end.
Okay, thank you.
You're welcome. Alrighty, so the next application is Homesnap Pro, and Homesnap Pro is I always like to call it the mobile version of Bright, even though it's totally a separate software. Um, Essentially, it allows you to do a lot of the functions that you would do with Bright, but on the go. And so what's nice about it is you can send homes. Well, the user interface is really nice, but you can also send homes to your client from there. And your clients can also download Homesnap Pro, or they can download Homesnap, because Homesnap Pro is for agents, and then Homesnap is for your clients. And so they can download this tool, and they can start to look at, when they're out and about, and they may see a house that they like, they can geolocate, and they can look at that area and see, if there are any homes available and what those homes are worth in that area. And so really, the Homesnap Pro, it's really for agents that are always on the go, which most of us are. And it's hardly ever that we're in front of our computers, unless we're just, at our desk. But most of the time we're on the go, on our phones, on our mobile devices, on our smart apps or smart pads. Um, so yeah, I mean, that's really what the Homesnap Pro is for. Now, what you'll find is that most of these apps, they have some sort of app that goes with it. Well, Homesnap Pro and a couple of other apps that I'm going to talk about, they're actually created first with being mobile in mind. So it wasn't really an afterthought. So their best usage, like if you were to go to the desktop version of Homesnap Pro, it's really not that it's really not as nice as actually interacting with it on your mobile phone or on your smart pad. So I would encourage you to kind of go out there and look at that, and just play around with it and see how that would be able to fit into your business. This next app here, this is the Kelly app, and for anyone that has not downloaded it, This Kelly app was developed specifically for the KW agents. And essentially what this is supposed to do is it's supposed to give you more knowledge about well, it's supposed to do a lot of things, but one thing that it does really well is it gives you knowledge about an area that you're in, and it gives you the data right at your fingertips. And so essentially, it's, you can speak into it. So this Kelly app, this is supposed to be the Siri or the Alexa for real estate. And the reason that they claim this is because there's nothing else out there that existed. And so because it's first to market, you can say this is the Siri for real estate. Okay. So really what it does is it gives you information about the neighborhood that you're in, about a neighborhood that your clients are interested in. It'll give you, how many homes are on the market, how many have sold. It'll tell you the average price for sale, average price per square foot, the average sale time or days on market. And so it'll give you all of this information just by saying, Kelly Snap 22314, Kelly Snap Cameron Station, or what have you. And so if you're interested in that, I would definitely go to. They're both. It's available on the Android platform, and it's also available on the Apple platform. Okay. And so I would definitely encourage you to go out and get that. This information that's provided, you can actually, get that in the command tool as well. You'll see it kind of sprinkled out, but this is the only place that it's available in a mobile app for clients or for yourself. And at that point, you can provide it to your clients by just sharing the information. But the actual app itself is specifically for agents. And in a couple, when we get over to this side, we'll see, we'll see the apps that's specifically for, our clients. Another thing that the Kelly app does is that it will. So one thing that it will do is, like I said, it'll give you the market update for that area, but it also helps to connect us to the rest of KW. And so if you wanted to do a referral, you could actually do your referrals through the Kelly app if you're on the go versus waiting to get back to your computer to do it through command. So that's one of the added benefits as well of using Kelly. Alrighty, so we'll move over to the owl here. This owl looking icon, this is for smart charts. And so smart charts is one of the paid applications that's provided to you through Bright. I believe that if you are a GCAR member, and that's the association for Maryland, I'm sorry, for DC, then you can get the smart charts for free. And it's free to you through that. If you're part of anything else, I believe it's $14.99 a month. So one benefit, or a lot of benefits of this, is essentially what it does is it gives you information about the market, similar to the Kelly app, but this one is provided to you in charts, hence the name Smart Charts. And so essentially what it does is it pulls all its information from Bright, and it looks at data in large amounts over years. And so you can look at trends over, a 30-day, 60-day, 1 year period. You can look at it, I think, over like a 5-year and maybe a 10-year period going back. And so you can look to see how homes are sold and what price and days on market. You can slice and dice information however you want, and you can pull charts. And so what the idea is that these charts would help you in your listing appointments and also in your buyer's appointments to help educate, the buyers or the sellers, because you could be trying to buy or sell in a hot period, and you can show historically during this time, you know, prices are higher or prices are lower. And that's good, or bad, depending on if you're, representing the seller or the buyer. And also pulling charts about, days on market, or, how much a house sells over list, in some of our areas. For instance, um, if we're looking at Falls Church or in DC or certain parts of Maryland, and even out in Ashburn, the competition is just great. So we can see in different areas, what homes are selling for and how quickly they're going, and that's just to help prepare our clients, like I said, on either side of what the market is. So the smart charts is a really good tool, and I would advise, if you think that's something that you would like to incorporate into your listing or buyer's presentation, it's really professionally done, and it's just a really good asset to have. One more thing I'll add to the smart charts before I go to KW is that, in smart charts, when you do create a chart, you can have that chart. So you can take that script and put it into your website. And so this script will automatically update every single month or every single week, just depending on what you're trying to show. And so it's a live chart that can be put onto your website. So let's say you have a farm, in Arlington, and you have a page dedicated to your farm. They can always go to that page on your website and see, and pull down that chart. They can look at it, and I think that they can download it out also, and it would just be a snapshot of what's on there for that time that they're viewing it. But it's a good way to, always disseminate information for your clients or for your farm to know about where they're looking or where they actually are. So that's helpful there. All right, so we're going to get to the consumer app. See how we're doing on time. Okay, 30 minutes. So we're getting to the consumer app. This consumer app, it's the KW consumer app. And so essentially, this was an app this is kind of like the last piece to the ecosystem that for Command. So first thing that kind of came out when we started talking about Command was the Kelly app. And then secondly, we had a lot of rollout for Command and all of the different, all the different platforms, not platforms, all the different applications that Command provides. And now, lastly, we have this KW consumer app. And so essentially, this consumer app was developed with Google, and it was tested with their office I think, for the better part of last year, just to make sure that, it's something that people that don't know anything about real estate would use, because it's supposed to be there competing with, Zillow, like I said, Redfin, Realtor.com. So all of these other companies that have, apps that people, absolutely love using. And so what the thought is that when you use those other apps or any other real estate app, those apps they're just providing information about the house, and they don't go any steps further outside of connecting you to an agent that could be, that's just paying, to be there. And so the idea with KW consumer app is that this app would be your app that you would be sharing to your friends and family, and hence they could be sharing to their friends and family. Now, the beauty of this app is that because we are a global company, and we're the largest company in America, we have the ability, and because we've worked with Google and Google Maps and Nextdoor, we have the ability for this to be shared to all of our friends and family, and they're able to see your app and search for it and search for homes in their areas, no matter where they are, and be able to connect to you. And so then the thought is that you would then go and find an agent in that area if you don't sell there, and refer your friend or family to that person. Okay. And so that's one powerful thing. The other powerful thing is that just the fact that we are connected, the agent is connected to the consumer right away, and they know exactly who their agent is, because it's all, every single house that they look at, it all points back to you. Okay. So it does create, an ecosystem and a community there for, your sellers or your buyers to talk to each other. And so they have a chat system there where they can communicate with you, they can communicate with other co-buyers. And they also have a guide on here, which helps to guide them through the process. So let's say it's 11 o'clock at night and they're concerned because they don't know what's next, or they don't remember what you told them is what's next. They can always go to the app and they can see where they are in the process. So it's pretty groundbreaking app. If you have not used it or have not logged in before, I would encourage you to go and do that, and just take a look and play around with it. One thing that I would say is for you to, if you do decide to create, and if you do create a login for yourself, do it with a personal email account. Don't do it with your business email account. And the only reason is because in the future, this Kelly app, it's going to actually become Command Mobile. And so it'll be the mobile version of Command, and it's going to use your business account, which you've probably already signed up with here in the Kelly app. And so if you want to see what the consumer side of things look like, make sure you just use a personal email account and then play around with it. Share with a couple of friends and see how the whole thing works. If you have any questions, you can feel free to reach out to me on that or any of these things that we're talking about today. Okay, RPR, which is Realty Property Resource. It's another tool that's available to us, and it's very similar to Smart Charts, and it's very similar to Bright in that it has data analytics on the go for you to access. And so some of the things that I've seen that's different than the Smart Charts, that RPR does, is that it will actually help you create your buying presentation or your listing presentation, and it sprinkles data that it finds in that it gets from Bright into these presentations. Seems to be a very powerful tool, and I've used it a decent amount of times. You can also create open house flyers there, and it'll have a lot of the information about the house, about the neighborhood, about some characteristics of the neighborhood that people may like. So it works to bring all of that information in, and it makes you look like a rock star, which you are. But then we have these beautiful flyers that you can, create effortlessly, and put them in your open house. Same thing if you have a listing. It'll have a listing flyer that you can put together, and it looks really professional, has your picture there, information about the house, about the neighborhood, information about the schools. I think it even pulls information about crime rates in that area. So there's a lot of information that it pulls, and it helps to sell the house even when you're not there. So I would definitely say go out there and play with that. That's Realty Property Resource, or you can just type in RPR and then take a look at that. Is there a question out there?
Yes. It's Anne.
Hey,
Um,
Ann.
hey, I have a little concern. Uh, I like the idea of the information about the schools on the crime rate and so forth, but we're not supposed to talk about that. So how do we not get um, confused? Well, how does the customer not get confused about what we're presenting versus what they're looking at from a third-party source?
Yeah, that's a good point. So it's if my clients ever ask me about crime rates or anything like that, I send them to, the state, police, website, and I send
Right,
them to, and if they ask about, schools, I send them to a couple of different sites.
right.
And that's where this information is being pulled from. And so that's why I've always been comfortable using it because it's information that's being pulled from there. And I'm not saying that it's not me personally saying, it's good or it's bad. I'm just saying this is the information, right? And they can make that decision. Um, and so, you may want to definitely ask the broker, if that's okay. I've always kind of felt like it was fine, because it's not me, trying to tell them whether it's good or bad, but it's just me presenting the information to them. And it's coming from the sites that I usually would, tell them to go and research anyway. So,
So my question then would be, is it clear when they take a look at that information that it's coming from another site? Or, or do they expect that it's coming from Keller Williams?
um, I would have to go and look at it, but I think they do give sources of where the information is coming from. I
Okay,
know
that,
that when I know that when you're creating the report, it tells you, but I'd have to go and actually look at the report. Like I'd have to go and look at the flyer, and see if they give credit to where this information is coming from.
okay, I guess I should look into that further.
Yeah, yeah. I'm not. It's been a while, probably about a year since I've used it, um, and I can't seem to remember if it is giving a source or not. But that's a very good point.
Okay, I don't want to get in trouble.
No, neither do I.
My own easily enough. I don't need to add any more.
I think I'm in that same boat with you. All righty. Okay, and so the next thing that we're going to talk about, and a lot of people have heard a lot about this, and you've probably come to my class, so I'm not gonna beat a dead horse, but I do want to bring up also KW Command. It is, if anyone out there has not heard of it, it is the software that Keller Williams has launched off to create. And the way that it was created, and I always say that it was created for the agents by the agents. And the whole vision of this software was to give you leverage. So if you're a single agent and you're doing everything on your own, this is going to give you leverage to take some things off of your plate so that you can focus on selling real estate. And if you have an admin working for you, then that would give them leverage and to do other things that they could be doing for you. And so KW Command was built for leverage, but it's also built to help save us income, help save us money. So the money that we work for, we work hard to get things under contract. Well, we work hard to get agent or get clients, and we work hard to get them under contract, and then we work even harder to get them to the closing table. And so once you get to the closing table, you want to make sure that you're keeping as much money as possible in your pocket. And so what that means is one of our biggest spends, if you look at your budget item outside of marketing, is technology. And so if the focus was if Keller Williams could provide its agents a software that works, and that works as well as what they're paying for, if not better, then the idea would be that you would want to make the business move to just switch over to Command. Now, everyone that's here knows that there have been some bumps along the way, and you know they're always working through with updates and everything. And so the idea is that in the future, every aspect of Command would be working extremely smoothly. But the idea is that, you know, you would just continue to play with it and continue to check in and see how it's doing. And you could find different pieces of the Command that you could use right now in your business, and to give you that leverage, and to help, you know, free up some more money for you to do what you'd like with that. Okay. And so, so yeah, if you want to know more about KW Command, I'm happy to give you more insight. But at this point, I'll just say that it's a platform that KW has put out there, and it has a CRM, it has a designs feature, which allows you to create marketing for yourself. It has campaigns that you can run on your social media platforms to market your services, your listings, your open houses. It allows you to get leads from that. It also allows you to give out referrals to people, to other agents in your area or in another area of the country, in Canada as well. So I would encourage you to go out and just take a look at it. And there's a bunch of, you know, trainings or a bunch of videos out there. If you need help getting to some of those, please feel free to reach out to me. All righty. So we're coming up to Real Scout. Real Scout, that's a class that I taught yesterday. I always call it a client management tool. And the reason why I say that is because it's a software that you can, you know, do a search. You can put up a search for your clients. You can do multiple searches for your clients, save them, and it will always, you know, send the houses that come on the market for them. And there's a lot of systems out there that do that, so that's not really the big thing. But what it actually ends up allowing you to do is you can monitor what they're looking at, and they can communicate back to you easily what they like, what they don't like. One of the biggest things with Real Scout that I have not seen many apps do, or many softwares do, is it communicates the characteristics that your clients really want. So let's say your clients want a dog park nearby or close by. They want to be near Costco, but they don't want to be near a hospital, a major road, or a fire department. What Real Scout will do is when they send them houses, they will say, okay, this one is near a dog park, but it's also near a fire department. And so it may have a thumbs down for the fire department and a thumbs up for the dog park. And so it doesn't preclude them from sending the house, but it allows them to know like what's going on in that area. And so, you know, Real Scout also, you know, it gives, you know, the ratings of the schools. It does like the whole communication, you know, commute, the commute pattern. So it'll say, you know, if your client creates an account, they can put in you know, their job location, and you can put in 2 or 3 of those, or as many as you want, and it'll calculate the distance, you know, for every single house that is sent to them, so that they can, you know, if commute is a big thing, they can know, you know, how close they are walking, driving, or riding a bike to their job. Or to maybe the location is, you know, the grandparents' house, you know, whatever matters to them. I mean, if they want to be closer to family, then they can see how close the house is. So, you know, the house doesn't necessarily have to be a job, or the address doesn't have to be a job. It could be a house, it could be, you know, parents, it could be whatever. So, so yeah, so Real Scout, that's why I call it a client management, because it allows you to view what they're doing, but also it allows them to communicate to you what they're liking. And it's easy for them just to hit a thumbs up or a thumbs down on a house. And so it helps to kind of facilitate that conversation every single time you see them. But also if you're looking at the information correctly, it'll give you times when you should call them, or you should ask them, hey, do you want to go see this in person? I mean, if somebody's looked at a house 6 times, maybe they're interested, so it gives you points, to kind of reach out to your clients to see what they're interested in, or see, if you can take them out to see a house and hopefully get them under contract. So so the thing about Real Scout that I do want to say is that it is an extra paid service that we offer here at Metro Center. But I think most people that are using it know that, your clients get hooked on it really quickly. And I've had clients who religiously use Zillow to only use Real Scout now, only because the homes come on earlier, they say, and they get everything that's being shown everywhere else. So they feel like they don't have to, log into 5 or 6 different sites to see all of the homes. So they've seemed to be pleased with it. I continue to pay for it. If you're interested in that, you would just have to email Jim Lyons, and he could get you signed up for that. And last but not least, we're going to talk about Loop. So Loop, like I said, essentially is another signing platform, just like DocuSign. And depending on who you are and depending on what you feel, some people think that DocuSign is easier and they prefer that. Some people feel that Loop is easier and they prefer that. I would just say that I've used both of them. They both have pros and cons. But it ultimately comes down to, and as all of these do, it comes down to, what you want to use in your business. So the major difference with Loop and DocuSign is the office support. And so all of the office documents that are updated will be updated in DocuSign. And so you would have to at least use DocuSign to get those, or you can get them from, I think you can get them from the front office. Secondly, all of the changes for all of your documents from the boards. So when new board documents come out, like if there's a new change to a contract or an addendum or something like that, they're uploaded from the front office. So they'll be managing everything here. With Loop, you would have to go to the board itself and download it and then put it into Loop or Athenasign or any of the other tools that are out there. So it's, that's the only real big difference. It really comes down to, what you're most comfortable using.
Okay, it's me again.
Hey, Ann.
Why do we have to pay for Loop when we used to be using that? Why did we have to move to DocuSign? Or why didn't we have the option of doing either one at no additional cost?
So we went to DocuSign as a result of Command. And so when we pay for our technology fees, those technology fees include us paying for some kind of document signing software. And so because Command was designed to work like hand in hand with DocuSign, the offices chose to move to DocuSign. Okay, and so if you would like to use Loop, you still can. You just have to pay the monthly fee for that. But you're already paying a monthly fee when you were there. It just wasn't coming out of your pocket. It wasn't as apparent, because when we pay for the office fees, you're paying for that technology package fee, which is all of those things, a lot of these things together.
Right. I understand that this is a business decision to use DocuSign. Was Keller Williams using Loop across the country before Command was created?
Yes. So yes, we were, well, yes, I do believe everyone, well, I believe that Keller Williams was heavily aligned with Loop.
Right.
Um, so one of the things that I believe happened is that Loop. So Gary Keller is always concerned about us being able to keep our data. And one of the issues with Loop is that they were actually bought by Zillow.
Oh, oh.
And so we didn't want Zillow to, I mean, we weren't sure that Loop was not sharing our data with Zillow. So then we had to find another platform.
But we share our data with Zillow. They pull it out of Bright and put it up for consumers to see.
Yeah, but I think that's public data. I think there's other data like so
Oh,
for
the
instance,
consumer.
yeah, we were doing compliance in Loop. So that's not all public data. That's
Right,
information for the back office, right? And that's
right.
Keller Williams data. And so that's the data that we definitely did not want. But yeah, there is public information about homes and things like that that is shared, and that's perfectly fine. But pretty much everything that we do on green sheets, that is not public data per se.
Right. Okay. So there was the concern that Loop was not keeping it confidential or might not.
Or yeah, they weren't going to keep it separate. And so because they did not have that that security or assurance that that wasn't going to happen, they felt like having a company that's still wholly owned and a wholly owned subsidiary of themselves, and not partnered with any of our competitors, was the best way to go.
But we still use Market Leader, which is the old house values, and that's owned by Zillow.
I don't think we still use Market Leader,
Yes, we do. We can get it through eEdge.
but we
I
don't use eEdge either.
don't
So
use it.
eEdge, so eEdge, that's what Command. So Command is the database, the choice database now, and so most people have moved from eEdge to Command.
Right, but the eEdge newsletter under Market Leader is much more robust. And of course, it doesn't look the same as everybody else's in Keller Williams.
Yeah, and that's fair. I mean, you can totally use, you can use the edge still. I mean, you can use it for your business. You can use Loop for your business, but I mean, what I'm saying is, as it relates to KW, and KWRI, the focus is on using Command, and DocuSign. But I mean, ultimately, they can't make you use anything, right? And so you can decide to use eEdge and Market Leader if you like for your business, for sure.
Okay, well, so you don't really know more about the business decisions behind this themes, and that's okay. I was asking to see if you did.
Okay,
Thank you.
you're welcome. Okay, so let's see. All right. So the next few slides, I'm not really going to go through. I just wanted to kind of group things together because I know that that was a lot to kind of go through. And so when I look at home search, you know, I mean, even though you have Real Scout, you have Bright on these, on this home search thing, they obviously do a lot more with home search, a lot more than home search. And same thing with Homesnap Pro, even though they do home search on desktop, one of their biggest values is, mobile. And so, I mean, when you start to look at all of these, they all kind of bleed over into each other's lanes. And so that's why I was saying, like, it would be really good for you to just kind of use them and figure out which things you like about it for your business, and understand that you can use them, and it's another tool for making your clients happy or interacting with your clients. Um, and so, yeah, the home search, I have Real Scout, Bright, Homesnap, and then I have Command. And obviously Command does a lot more than just home search, but they all kind of are in that arena when you look at them. Mobile apps, clearly it's a consumer app and it's Homesnap Pro. Those are things that are available to us. And these have mobile search features, but they're also easily usable for us sending information to our clients. And some of these are easy for us to build that relationship. So with the consumer app, it's much easier. So we look at it as an ecosystem where, you know, we're creating that with our buyers. And also in the future, you'll be able to pull in your lender and the person, you know, your home inspector as well, and your title company, so that there's this one collaboration area for everyone to have as much information as possible in the quickest amount of time. Document management and signature, like I said, DocuSign and Dotloop, those are the bigger ones that everyone knows about. There are clearly other ones out there. And like I said, I mean, you can use whichever, you know, you'd like. And analytics, real estate analytics is extremely large. It's a big thing that's on the horizon, that's here now, but on the horizon as far as using. And really it comes down to understanding the data and understanding what that data means to your clients. And these tools help you to, and also to your business. So understanding what it means to your clients and to your business, these tools help you to kind of figure that out. Okay. So the biggest thing with smart charts, and I think I would say that smart charts actually puts all of this information into graphics for you that are beautiful, you know. And so it it definitely it definitely not only gives you speaking points, but it also gives you a graphic that you can speak to. So that's the biggest thing about smart charts, I believe, is that they have the graphics to go along. The rest of these, they're really more so numbers. RPR, they do have bar charts and things like that. Sometimes it's helpful, sometimes it's not. But I think that if you really want a chart to go along with what you're saying or to really show what you're trying to say, then smart charts is the way to go. Otherwise, all of these will give you the information, the data that you're looking for. Okay, and so that was my last slide. Are there any questions about this, or is there anything that I did not talk about that you would like, that you have questions about?
Thanks, Haywood. I think that was helpful. I have a 2 o'clock webinar that I'm going to have to jump off onto. Are you going to be providing anything new in addition?
No, that was everything that I had for today.
Thank you. Appreciate it.
Okay, thanks, Ann.
But I have a quick question.
Yes.
I noticed perhaps in a Real Scout and others tools that we have, we can pull from there some landing page. So how we can integrate that in our marketing purposes? Because I've been trying and to accommodate, you know, in our marketing, but I've been having some kind of difficulties sometimes. Perhaps right now I'm fighting with Facebook, trying to pull some information, you know, and use one link from one landing page. So, any recommendation from you or any video that we can see later, you know, to learn more about that?
Yeah. So So yesterday, yeah, I did have a Real Scout class, and I did kind of touch on landing pages.
Yeah,
So
we couldn't
you
attend. Yeah.
yeah, and that's fine. What I can do is I can send you the video of that because we recorded it. So if you want to
Perfect.
send me an email, I'll put my email address in the chat here.
I have it. Hey,
Oh, you have it.
you already sent me some information the other day that you confused me
Okay.
with Janet from
Oh,
Alexandria, I
yes.
believe. Yes.
Yes.
So
Okay.
I will send you an email. Yes, so I can
Okay.
do that because I was going to ask Julia because I saw that we were not able to attend, but I was planning to ask Julia if you have recorded it. So that's perfect. You have it. Perfect. Thank you very much.
Yep. I have it recorded, so I can share that with you.
Great.
And we're actually recording all of these trainings, and so we're working on one central location that people can go to just kind of pull it. So everybody knows where it is, but we're still trying to figure out what is the best platform for that.
Okay.
So once we get that, we'll definitely be we'll be marketing that. But just to answer your question, just in general, so if you wanted to build a landing page, you could build it through Real Scout, and you can market it on pretty much anything. I mean, it's a link that they give you, so you can post it on Facebook, on Instagram, on Twitter. You can send it out in an email. You could have it, in your signature. So it just kind of depends on like what you'd like to do. And I mean, if you wanted to, we could sit down and kind of talk through that a little bit more specifically for you. And then I could show you how to do that either through Real Scout or through Command.
Yeah, basically what I've been trying to do is, to use that landing page perhaps and using a Facebook, to track, traffic. So, and then, but
Oh,
I
gotcha.
couldn't, I couldn't find out how to connect perhaps the pixels,
Okay.
and you know,
Yeah.
so maybe it's not that easy, or maybe I'm doing something wrong, probably.
Yeah, there is a way for you to track pixels in Real Scout for that reason of tracking. So yeah, we can definitely discuss that. So that's not going to be in the training. I didn't talk about that, but yeah, we can definitely have a call and talk through that.
Okay, cool.
Okay.
So do we need
All
to set
righty.
an appointment with you?
Yes. So I can send you my calendar link, and then
Okay.
you can see my calendar, and then you can just figure out which time works best for you.
Perfect.
Perfect. Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Okay. My pleasure.
Thank you very much.
You're welcome. Hey, Arda, I see that you had a question, and you wanted me to repeat the name of something. Do you know which one it was that you wanted me to repeat? Arda, are you still there? Okay. Well, maybe she stepped away. Alrighty. Well, thank you everyone for coming. Oh, hold on.
She's
Got
responding to
the answer
you.
from, oh, it was Smart Charts. Okay, perfect. Okay, perfect. All righty. Well, thank you for coming out. You always, you can always contact me. And like I said, I do have a Calendly link. So if anyone wants to schedule an appointment, you can just email me and I'll send you that Calendly link. Okay. All right. Well, thanks for coming. Have a good day.